else hit it.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about the mental change. We will.
Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Lori LeBay, and I am thrilled that you're here joining us today. We are going to be talking with the co-founders of SaltBox TV, which is a new online streaming platform that you're going to really enjoy. But before we get to our guests, I always like to give a shout out to the Mark Arneson Band. They are the ones that wrote Clarion Call, which is our opening music, which I just love. And you can always download that on any of your favorite music platforms. If you're new to our show, Alzheimer Speaks is about sound information, not just sound bites. We like to talk with real people and have real conversations about what's going on in the arena of dementia. If it's in the business or family world, all is relevant to us. So maybe you can be our next guest. We're always looking for new people to talk to. So feel free to reach out to me at radio@alzheimerspeaks.com. Now, I like to do a couple of shout outs, so I have to mention Dementia Map, which I am a co-founder of. That is kind of a one-stop shop for all different types of things dementia related. So check it out. And if you're a business or if you have a service, product, or tool, we would love to have you be part of that. So reach out to me. We can talk more, or you can go just directly to dementiamap.com to learn more. But something you will also find on Dementia Map is one of our resources, which is the Memory Cafe directory. And those are starting to open up and go live. So there's a combination now of virtual and live memory cafes that you can participate in. So if you want to go there directly, just go to memorycafedirectory.com. Coral Health is still allowing people to download 2 of their apps, Music First and Coral Faith, for free. So check them out, corohealth.com. And let's see, I also want to give a couple of shout outs to Maud's Ventures. They are still taking applications for their challenge. They have 3 challenges. One is for aphasia, one is for respite care, and one is for adaptive clothing. They are going to give $50,000 to $100,000 in seed money. So check out maudsventures.org for that. Also want to give a shout out to Maple Hill Senior Living and also Moments Hospice. They are sponsoring a presentation I'm going to be doing actually on Dementia Map. And that will be on June 23rd from 8 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So, and that will be virtual. So anybody can participate in that. You can just go to our homepage and find more information on that. And last, there is also a conference coming up November 2nd, which will be an international conference called Together for Dementia. And you can still, I believe, buy early bird tickets for that. And just check out Together for Dementia. I think that's all I had for housekeeping. So I want to introduce you to the co-founders of SaltBox TV. Patty Carver has been one of the top singers, performers, and writers in the national older adult communities for over 20 years. She's performed in New York, LA, Boston, London, and on national tours and in over 1,000 senior communities nationally here. And Jerry Goehring is a Tony and Grammy nominated producer who has created new shows on Broadway, Off-Broadway in London, the West End, and many major markets around America. The two of them have launched SaltBox TV, and I can't wait for you to learn more about it. Well, I am so excited to have the two of you on the show. I'm thrilled with the work that you're doing, and I can't wait to share it with others because I think this is such an over needed concept that you guys are really filling a gap. So first of all, thank you, Jerry and Patty, for joining us this morning on the show. I really, really do appreciate your time. I know you're busy people. But before we get to our line of questioning, I always like to ask my guest if they've been personally touched by a family member or a dear friend with dementia. And so, Jerry, I'm going to throw that to you first, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, my uncle John, who was ironically an attorney that specialized in estate planning, and he is in late stages Alzheimer right now. A lot of family are trying to help him. We do not live. They're back in Wichita, Kansas, and we're on the East Coast, so we're far away from trying to help. But everybody jumps in as always to try to help out. And it's hard on everybody. It's hard on everybody.
It really does have a ripple effect. I always get frustrated when I hear those numbers of, how many people they used to quote, every person with dementia affects 6 to 7 people. And I'm like, well, you must have an awful small family and no circle of friends at all, because it is much larger than that. And I think people are really starting to realize that now. If you're close or not, it still affects. Patty, how about you?
Well, in my immediate family, I have not been affected by Alzheimer's, but I've been bringing musical programs to senior communities for the past 25 years. And I have met so many people in memory care. And I've been invited back to places over and over again. And I have become friends with so many people, and I've seen the progression. But most importantly, I've seen the effect of music on these people when I go to bring my shows. And that's how I sort of developed the passion for this audience and to bring entertainment to them. The first, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but the first time, this was like 20 years ago, the first time I met somebody with dementia was when I brought a program. It was a St. Patrick's Day program to a senior community. And I sang "Oh Danny Boy." And there was a gentleman in the back in a wheelchair, and they had brought in the memory care people, and there was assisted living and independent. It was a great, big, wonderful audience. And he sang "Oh Danny Boy" with me. And it was so impactful, and everybody was crying. They hadn't heard his voice in several months. And so it was one of the many experiences I've had where it was just a reminder of, this is good work. It may not be high profile entertainment, but it's good work.
Oh, it's high profile to the heart is what it is. It's that connection to the soul. And I experienced that with my own mom, who lived with dementia for 30 years. And we've got videos up on YouTube with it. And I can, she's been gone since 2014, Patty. I can still have a really bad day. I go and I turn on one of those videos and it makes my day. It goes, life is good. Yeah. I really encourage people to leverage music so much. It's so powerful for all of us on that. Let's talk about how the heck did SaltBox TV start? The concept, the name, just everything about it. I want to know.
All right. Well, I guess I'll start. Okay. So
I will jump in.
Okay, please do.
Okay. So
this is really a springboard from everything that I've done from the past 25 years. I wrote these one-woman musicals when our children, Teresa and Andrew, were infants, and this was because, and I'll tell the whole story. We went to London to produce a show. Andrew was 3 weeks old. Teresa was 15 months old. Jerry was producing. I had written the show, I was starring in it. And it was in that experience that I learned that I couldn't do all this all at once anymore. So had myself removed from the show, came back to the States. but still wanted to keep singing and performing. So I wrote a one-woman musical with the intention of booking it in schools, because my thought was, well, like, as the kids are growing up, I'll perform in schools and be on their schedule. And so I wrote this one-woman musical based on women of American history, musical theater style. Long story short, started booking it and in schools, and then started getting calls from adult audiences, from libraries, historical societies, retirement communities. And a couple of years went by, and suddenly I found myself almost exclusively going to retirement communities, to adult audiences. And through that, I discovered this kind of niche market where I began traveling, going up and down the East Coast to CCRCs, assisted living, memory care. Many times I would book an assisted living show or independent, and then do the memory care unit for like a great big discount so that I could bring the music to them. So I had all this experience. Then like 20 years later, here we are, we have COVID, and I'm totally booked. It's March of last year. I'm booked through the summer. Jerry's got Be More Chill running in the West End in London. That was a big one. And we also run Connecticut Children's Theater. All that stuff was suddenly shut down. All my bookings were gone, and we had to do something. And so we started filming my one-woman shows to offer virtually to retirement communities, to my database and beyond. And I literally got on the phone and started calling one community at a time to see how we could bring a virtual option to these senior communities who were suddenly on quarantine, on lockdown. People couldn't go in or out except for, as you know, people that worked there. And activities directors, lifestyle directors were at their wits' end, because suddenly they had to offer exclusively virtual entertainment. They had to research and find it and download it. They had no time to do any of this. There was one conversation I had with an activities director where she said, I would love to book your programs, but I don't even have time to look at them right now. All I have time to do is arrange FaceTime meetings with my residents' families and bring their meals to their doors.
So Patty did all this, and we just spent all this money on equipment to be able to get her show to all these community centers. And now there's no way for them to really watch them. It was difficult.
Right, because we had started a live stream thing the previous year, but it was in that moment that I went home that night and I said to Jerry, there should be a channel for all these communities that suddenly need, they don't have time to go research and download, and there should be like a one-stop hub where an activities director can go and find everything that he or she wants for her community.
And of course, we assumed that this already existed because, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of these places with a TV in every room. Of course, this already exists. I say, Patty, that 1,000 of people are already doing this. So that's probably a crazy idea.
It didn't exist.
But it didn't exist.
And so the next day, Jerry got on the phone and he started researching a bit and gathering momentum. And so, and here we are. And we're going to do this big launch soon, but we have like 200 plus pieces of content. We have entertainment stars in the industry that are giving us their support. Ed Asner is our spokesperson. But the roots of it are passion for senior communities. And now as SaltBox we've discovered that it's not just senior communities that are desiring this, it's also seniors everywhere that may want this hub to go to. But also during COVID, of course, independent seniors living in homes have also experienced even more isolation and even more of a lockdown. And as we transition out of it, we're seeing that this has had a big effect on our older adults.
As bad as COVID has been and is still in our life, there's a lot of gifts wrapped in it because it really brought to light some issues, especially with our seniors. and especially with those dealing with dementia, on what are the needs. It amplified how tight staff are, how used to in kind of inflexible in a lot of ways, even though they think they're really flexible. In a crisis, what happens now? And when you said, the one gal didn't even have time to review it, I mean, that was it. I'm a speaker. I had the same thing. I was booked and all of a sudden cancel. And trying to get people to convert to online, they were just too busy with PPE and trying to, like you said, engage family members. And that all was new to them. And, there's a saying in the dementia world that what's good for dementia is good for everybody. And I think SaltBox TV is just that. It's much more expansive. It's intensive platform that you've built that I think is really unique, especially today. Everything. I mean, I can't even watch TV half the time. I'm so tired of the violence and the thing on who got murdered, and there's 3 of them to choose from. And it's like, that's really not what I want in my life. There's enough stress out there, and people want something that they can enjoy, they can get education, and that they can, just relax and feel comfortable instead of being reminded of, the craziness we're living through in these days. And so I think as bad as COVID was, it did bring a lot of things to light. It brought the importance of social engagement together, which people have poo-pooed for years in this industry in terms of really having any type of scientific value, and that you can have that engagement through an online streaming service, through a chat, through a Facebook, through entertainment. All of those things are of value, and people, I think, are really looking at it much differently, and it's getting a lot more attention. The other thing that I loved what Jerry said is he's like, honey, been there, done that. There's a zillion of them out there. They had to have thought of this before, but it's amazing how many ideas haven't been instituted. They might have been thought of, but it's just a blurb. And I think a lot of people kind of just stop there and go, someone's doing it. It's a great idea. Someone's got to do it. I mean, we found that even with Dementia Map. That's been a dream of mine for 37 years. And I still look back and go, how did nobody do this? I mean, why did nobody do this? But you have to, it's got to be the right timing. It's got to be the right person and people with the passion to really make it fly and really understand, I think, the true value of what it is you're doing and the impact it has on others. And I think sometimes money and finances can get in the way, and not that everyone doesn't have to make a buck, but sometimes that's the brick that just breaks it all, because it gets too expensive, for people. And you guys have found a way around that, where it's not another sign me up, how much is this gonna cost me? So we should probably talk a little bit about that too. How do people access this? Is it free? Is there a subscription fee? I probably shouldn't have said that before I asked the question.
The ultimate answer is it is free to everybody. There is no sign up, no emails. You don't have to remember any passwords. You just click and watch. It's really that simple. I say we kind of learned this the hard way, because quick background that Patty described her background, we're both kind of live theater rats. We're kind of the theater geeks that have done everything from national tours to theater around the world, Broadway, West End, you name it. We've probably done it between the two of us. So this is a new area for us. And I think as we took our Rolodex from Hollywood and Broadway, and we started to bring everybody together for this central mission of bringing diverse programming to older adults, that we learned a lot. And we're the first ones to say, hands in the air, we're learning every day, because we don't know this part of the world, and we have to learn quickly. To our benefit, sometimes ignorance is bliss, because nobody's told us we can't do it. So we're just doing it. Right. So at the beginning, a year ago, Patty and I were like, okay, let's figure this out. And we saw all these we were signing up for Hulu and Netflix, and we were paying our, $5 or $30 a month, whatever it is, and we're watching our TV this way now. And we're like, oh, everybody does this. So let's just make it a subscription. Everybody will pay us $4.99 a month, and we'll have all the money we need to make this happen, right? So we did a test month last August, in August of 20, to Patty's favorite 50 places that love her, right? And we're like, this is going to be great. So we put it up there, and as a test, we put it up like an analog TV channel, like one show or another, and nobody watched, because nobody had time to go in and figure out what was on when am I going to watch a cooking show or an exercise show. And then we were like, okay, well, we'll just put it up and they'll just subscribe. Well, we learned very quickly, my mom and dad are in their 80s, and my mom and dad do not like giving their credit cards online. They don't want to remember any more passwords. There's no way they want the computer to tell them what to do. They like the freedom of watching what they want when they want it. So we quickly went back to our roots, Patty and I, and I'm sure you're the same way, Lori. We were all raised on network TV.
By the way, and I talked to many lifestyle directors that said, if it costs anything, I'm telling you right now, I can't continue the conversation because we don't even have an extra $4.99 in the budget, because entertainment budgets are so,
Yeah, they're paying enough. And so we basically said, okay, well, we're going to learn something new. And as we do, and we're going to make this basically ad supported, like you're watching NBC. So now we have not taken that step yet, but it is still free to everybody. By the end of the summer, will be advertisements and commercials, just like you're watching ABC or NBC or anything else. So but the difference is that you can choose your programming. So if you want to watch a movie, if you want to watch I Love Lucy, or if you want to learn from some of the experts in the subjects that are out there that we need in our lives as older people, from dementia care to talking about ageism, to talking about, there's just so many options out there that I know Patty will get into some of the programming. But our ultimate goal is to make this a central resource that is free to everybody, easily accessible. We've brought people to the platform that have helped us to learn, such as, I didn't know this even position existed, a gerontologist occupational therapist. Who knew? Okay, we've learned. And so they have helped us with colors. What color should it be? How big should it be? We have a selection on the whole page. You can make the font bigger if you want, if you have a little trouble with your eyesight. My mom and dad have macular degeneration, that would help them with that. So we have all those kind of tools of the trade that we're integrating into this system. And much like Netflix, Patty and I have Netflix, but there's thousands of movies on that channel. I don't even know what to watch. Seriously. Unless somebody tells me go watch the Patty Carver show, I'll go do it. But if not, we end up scrolling through movies for an hour, and then it's time to go to bed.
I'm not the only one, huh?
Right. So we're trying to keep this in a way that there's new content going up every week, but it's curated for diverse interests. Listen, I'm still interested in my late 50s is what I loved when I was in my 30s. It's not like my tastes have changed. I don't all of a sudden like, umbrellas. I want to watch an umbrella show, right? I still love the stuff I love. And we understand that everybody still does. So this is becoming a curated channel. And Lori, the interesting part as people will come and experience at SaltBox TV is that Hollywood feels the same way. We've learned that ageism is rampant in Hollywood. And all these people like Ed Asner, Patty mentioned, he's our spokesman, but all these other people are coming on board to say, we just want to work. We want to tell stories. We want to do what we spent a lifetime learning how to do, but nobody in Hollywood is giving us the chance. So we are going to start making our own programming, just like Patty and I have done for theater on Broadway and elsewhere, working with creators and stars and directors and writers and all those people that are of a certain age that still have stories to tell. So
how fun.
Yeah, it's going to be wonderful. It's wonderful now. We love it.
I can see audiences really being interested in here because everybody wants that personal side too. I love that you looked at, like Netflix and go, gosh, there's so much here. It's overwhelming. It's kind of even like when, as you age, you go out and you look at a menu and it's like, I really don't need 20 pages of food.
Right.
It gets too much, and you mentioned the typeset and the color, and all of those things are so critically important to enhancing experience. And you want to get people in their zone and not intimidated, where it's just like it's too much. I can't do it. I'm too old. Then we're adding to that. So I love what you guys are doing. I do have to ask, how did you come up with the name SaltBox TV though?
Patty, where are you sitting?
So I'm sitting in our dining room. We live in a salt box.
Okay.
It was built in 1763, and I love it and hate it. Mostly love it. But it was built in 1763, and we've kept it as period as possible, with bringing up 2 children here. But it's our home had inspired it, and that SaltBox production, SaltBox TV. We started off with a few other names, but I think we arrived at the perfect name of SaltBox. If you pick a name that somebody else has, it costs a lot of money to buy that name.
Oh yeah. Well, and I love that it's personal to you guys too. To you, it says home, and that's exactly what you're trying to convey to other people. Come home to SaltBox with us, where you can feel comfortable. And I have to say, Ed Asner, like perfect spokesperson for you guys. I remember calling to leave a message, and I heard him, and he was kind of grumpy and snarly, and I'm like, I was in stitches for about a half an hour. I'm like, I loved his message because it just brought me back to all the different shows and things that he was in, and that personality, that I grew up with, and and those things we don't forget, and we appreciate very, very much. So
He's a wonderful man. We've been to his house to film him and to talk with him. And I say we talk with him every couple of weeks. He's what we love about Ed. Yes, he's a multi-Emmy winning Broadway film. All of our kids know him from Up, being the voice of the man, right? And all these shows. But at his heart, he's an activist. He wants to change the world. He was basically blackballed from Hollywood for 20 years because he would stir the pot and try to make the world better, and people didn't like that. And he's still doing that, Lori. He's suing SAG, which is the union for actors that he was president of for 10 years in the 80s, where they have now taken away health benefits to older actors with this new contract. So he's suing the union he belongs to. I mean, that's how much he cares about other people and why he sees being a part of SaltBox as something that is important for this country.
I think that's fabulous. Kudos to him, for
Absolutely.
standing
We're very
up.
lucky.
I love people that fight for the underdog. I feel like I was trained to do that since I was 2. That's just kind of in my personality as well. And I think it's important for us to address those needs and to get creative, to not be afraid to fail at something, but just say, hey, this needs improvement. And let's try this, see what happens. So many people are afraid to take that step because it might not work out. But what if it does? What if it does?
We've been having a conversation in our office lately about the cultural aspect of all of this. And SaltBox, TV is going to be it's this great platform, and it's going to grow. And I'm just so excited about it. But I think it's also something bigger that we're kind of in our small way kind of addressing. And that is, in America, there's this kind of cultural attitude toward older people. And it may be why, a channel for older adults is a great idea, but nobody's really done anything about it yet because it's for older people. And, I think Ed Asner is a great example of someone who's not afraid to fight for, and there's these people who there's nothing else going on except for they just have a little more years, a little more wisdom, a little more experience. So why should they suddenly be ignored at a certain age cutoff? And I think, there's a lot that can be done. People fight for ageism. I think that within SaltBox, this is what we can do.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many levels that you are kind of turning the ship. One, it's that you're recognizing this is even a population that deserves to be served. And, which just kind of, when I say that, it even just slaps me in the face. But truly, they should be recognized. They should be valued. They're full of great information and resources, and they deserve comfort and entertainment just like everyone else does. And I think so often they're poo-pooed that, they won't spend their money. Well, they won't spend their money if they don't find value in it. They won't spend their time if they don't find value in it. They know what they want at that age, what works and what doesn't. And it is sad to see kind of how media and entertainment has been portrayed in terms of older people. Hide your wrinkles, get your lifts, do this, do that, look to be and live somebody who you aren't. And I love to see actors and actresses come out and go, I'm just not dyeing my hair anymore. I'm not going to wear my makeup. I'm not getting another facelift. I'm not doing any of that stuff. It's okay. This is who I am. Our bodies change, and that is a natural part of us. And so I think you are raising awareness on so many different levels for people to think about. I love that you're talking about doing episodes with actors and actresses so that they can tell their stories. I think they will be so valued, and I think studios are going to be beating themselves up that they didn't think of it first. I really do.
From your lips.
Because I really think it is going to be extremely valued.
What's amazing, Lori, is the business in Hollywood it's a business. There's dollars and cents. And you probably know this, that every day, 10,000 baby boomers are over the age of 65 every day. And in 5 years, the population in America will have more people over the age of 60 than under the age of 60. And where do advertisers want to still put their money? The 18 to 35-year-olds. Well, guess where all the expendable income is and where the population is? Let's just look at the businesses. That's why Patty and I were always like, well, of course, somebody did this years ago.
Yep.
Right? It's people just disregard age in this country. And look, we're not activists. We're not out there we're trying to give a platform for people so we can just do it in our little way, and we're not just talk about it. Let's do it.
Well, and I think too, it doesn't have to be complicated. Everybody makes everything out to be so complicated. Like if it's just not crazy complicated, well then it's not going to matter. It's not going to work. And I have found, anyways, through my work, like with Alzheimer Speaks and even Dementia Map, simple works really well. I think people are getting tired of complicated, and they, especially with COVID, people have slowed down and they've seen a whole different side to the world. For younger people that were really, really busy, and for our older adults that maybe had already slowed down, they're seeing other people kind of catch up and going, yeah, this is what my life is like all day long, and people with dementia would say that. Even, when people were struggling just even to connect on video, people with dementia were like, we can help with that. That's our life. That's how we communicate. We've lost our driver's license, or I'm talking to people on the other side of the world, and, but they've found ways to engage and not let their disease or their age or whatever it is bring them down. They've just found alternative ways to connect. So Patty, let's talk about what types of shows and resources are actually on the platform.
So we designed the genres according to what communities would desire. TV shows and movies. We also have, and arts and music, we have lifelong learning, spiritual wellness care, and that is specifically with activity directors, lifestyle directors in mind, so that they can go to SaltBox and find what they might want. If you go to wellness and care, which we're in right now, we've got Dr. Macy. She just came on. She's amazing, and We've got Teepa Snow, who is also amazing. She's like the rock star of dementia care. That's how I describe Teepa Snow. And interestingly, we connected with Teepa Snow and Positive Approach for Care a few months back. And she was one of the first wellness high profile people in that agreed to lend us their content at the very beginning. And I feel that we have such a great partnership with them, and they have so much great content. And we're just going to be slowly releasing a little bit of Teepa Snow content every couple of weeks, so that we're just inundated with Teepa Snow content. So we've got Senior Fitness with Meredith. We've got Memory Lane is a wonderful program which is designed specifically for dementia patients, and it's scenic, it's sounds, it's visual, and it's stress-free.
I have to say, I'm using it now. And at this moment, I've not been diagnosed with dementia, but what is wonderful is that if you want to calm down at night, there's these 28-minute programs that are not plot driven, but are sounds and visuals and sunsets and music and birds and crickets. And it just lets you calm down so you can actually go to sleep. It's just fascinating.
Well, and that can be used for people at home too, that maybe aren't in a community. Maybe they've got somebody who is doing sundowning where they get a little agitated.
That's right.
Perfect time to put something like that on for them.
That's right. Yep. Same thing, reverse in the morning. There's so many different options. These wonderful people that have been in the dementia care for a long time, again, with family experiences. And this came out of the founder losing his mother to dementia. And he had to find things that would help her. And he started this 20 years ago. Quite the science behind it.
Hey, Jerry, can you scroll scroll
Which
down?
way? Down?
Yeah. Scroll down. And oh yeah, we have chair yoga with Kristen, and she's absolutely wonderful. And she's actually a friend of ours from Connecticut, who also at the very beginning, she actually filmed her first programs with us back in July of last summer. And she was so eager. She not only was eager to join us, but she also, she specifically works one-on-one with older adults, 75 plus, with yoga. And so she was very experienced in bringing a gentle yoga program to seniors. And she followed that with filming some meditation programs for us, which were also wonderful, the daily meditations with Kristen. So, I mean, this is the wellness and care part of SaltBox. And our goal is to just continually add programs with these great individuals that, I mean, for instance, Teepa Snow, as you know, Lori, she has this amazing YouTube following. And, you know, for Jerry and I and our team, we're just getting on the computer and research and find, I mean, we're theater animals and we're looking for content, and we're finding these amazing YouTube personalities that we're just basically calling up on the phone and we're asking to join us. So there's a real personal element to our reaching out and gathering this content. Teepa Snow and her team have been wonderful. Dr. Macy, she called me back within 10 minutes. She's like, I loved what you're doing. I just went on your site. I'm in. And we had this great conversation. And, you know, she's all about, she was saying, you know, we're not in competition with each other. We are working together for this common goal to get information out there on how to deal with dementia. And, you know, these people, we're meeting these incredible, wonderful people, and we're all coming together and using SaltBox as the platform. And now Jerry just went to the TV shows, and we have some really, really fun shows. I'm looking at Pasta Grannies. These are a bunch of Italian grandmothers who are sharing their age-old pasta recipes.
Oh, wow.
And they're amazing. And, you know, you just want to eat with them. So we've got that show. And interestingly, we've been going back and forth with Pasta Grannies for like 8 months now, and we finally got Pasta Grannies. And we've got, of course, Jerry, go back up, scroll back up. There was, was the Dick Van Dyke. Yeah, we've got the Dick Van Dyke Show. I mean, who doesn't love Dick Van Dyke, you know? And we've got Lucy Show. The thing about it is, SaltBox isn't just about spiritual wellness care. It's also everybody, no matter what your age, you love a good I Love Lucy show every now and then. You love the Dick Van Dyke. I mean, there's this gray area where we're offering programs that everybody loves. And the last time I saw Paris is one of the movies that we have on. And I can tell you, my mother has watched it like 4 times now. She's like, that's the only movie I want to watch on SaltBox. But it's Taylor and Van Johnson in it. So there you go. And, oh, Jerry, stop at Knitted Knockers, because I have to tell you, just in scrolling through YouTube and surfing, I found the most wonderful person. Her name is Barbara Demarest, and she founded this organization called Knitted Knockers. Barbara had a mastectomy about, I think it was 7 years ago. And through her experience, she found out that there, in the recovery period, there really wasn't an option, a comfortable option for women to go back out and except for the silicone plastic heavy prosthesis. Did I say that correctly? And the doctor that she was working with gave her instructions on, he said to her, do you knit? And she said, yes, I knit. And he said, well, you could give this a try. And she took the instructions, and her friend made her a knitted knocker. Now, I share this story with you because when you go to SaltBox, there's Barbara's stories on our platform. It just makes you want to cry, because she gets this knitted knocker, she puts it in, and it was soft, it was comfortable, it was the right size. And suddenly this was her option as she healed after this crazy radical operation that she had to have, which so many women have to have. And I'm so proud to have Barbara's story up there, because she is, from her experience on, she's become the voice for Knitted Knockers, and it's a national outreach organization now, and it's a network of people that knitted knockers, and they give them for free to hospitals that need them. And you know, it's one of the, I'm just really proud to have Barbara as part of our platform.
What a great story. I had not heard of that, but I can't wait to tell people about that. That's so cool.
You have to go learn more about her, because not only has she expanded this organization nationally and beyond, but she's one of the nicest people you ever want to meet. And she's great. So, and you know, those are the YouTube personalities that we're finding, these people that have all these followers, and they're lending their stories and their content to SaltBox.
Cool. Now, Jerry, you just had something up. It looked like maybe that was one of your originals for interviewing people at home. I just caught a couple of names on there. It looked like Henry Winkler, and
we have fun people on there like Henry Winkler. And what we did was basically just Zoomed him at home and said, hey, let's talk. And it came out of a program I did live on stage, kind of an actor's studio kind of approach, where you interview and you do flashback and look at their films and that kind of stuff. And we decided to take that to the next level here with Zooming people at home. And our first one was Jim Burrows, who it may be a name you may remember from a credit here and there, but he is one of Hollywood's geniuses. He gave us Taxi, the sitcom, and Cheers, the sitcom, and on. Friends, he did Friends, and just a brilliant man. who talk with this, and of course Henry Winkler, and we have everybody to like so many people now. We have about 25 different celebrities, and we're adding one every couple of weeks still. So yeah, it's a diverse programming. We found, and Patty didn't mention this, but I'll just throw it out there, that we call it, and we didn't expect this. We thought we were going to put up all these really smart shows like Knitted Knockers and Dementia Care and all this, and people are going to flood in to see. You know what the people tend to start with are the shows they know and recognize and love, like I Love Lucy.
Yep.
We call them our gateway shows now. They come to us to watch this because they're familiar, their faces. You can listen to Henry Winkler tell stories, but then you start looking around and going, oh, let me watch this documentary by Glenn Campbell that had dementia. We followed him on his last tour, which I just watched again yesterday. I cried like 20 times in the middle of it. It's just unbelievable the courage he had in his family to let a camera follow him like that. Anyway, so we're learning every day about what works and doesn't.
That's right. And there'll always be the TV shows, the movies, that content that you go to for entertainment. But we're always going to gauge a lot of this based on, what we think communities might enjoy, and the wellness programs. Those are the shows where I really feel those are going to give SaltBox TV our character, our brand, in addition to the entertainment.
I found it with my mom. I mean, she used to like tell time by when stuff was on TV, which you can't do anymore. But I mean, she had her favorite shows. I mean, like Jag, she thought was real. And she would get upset at the community she was living in if staff didn't know what was going on, because she thought everybody should know politically what's going on in our world. And Jag was real to her. And so the staff actually decided to watch the show. One person who wasn't working would watch the show, and they would log it so everybody could communicate with her. And people don't understand how powerful this stuff is, and that this really can become reality. Just like the time I had the news on with her, and she saw the bombing of Iraq. She thought that was happening right outside the door. She was terrified, and I couldn't figure out. I thought it was because I was cleaning out her closet, And then I finally figured out, oh my gosh, it might be the TV, and I turned it off. She calmed right down. People need to understand the content in one's environment is critical, and it can make a huge difference in terms of how they're feeling. And, with dementia, they go back in time. And so, Fathers Knows Best, Dick Van Dyke, I Love Lucy, all of those types of shows, they're marvelous on a lot of levels. One, they can bring comfort to a different kind of time in life that we're living now, but they're also shareable with your kids and grandkids, because they've been brought up on them, and they're comfortable series to watch. They're not complicated, and it brings their loved ones back in time to a peacefulness, and allows them to be in that same space instead of being worried. And so again, I think what you guys are doing is absolutely spectacular. And I hope that a lot of communities jump in on this and see how important this can be. Plus it's going to lighten their staff's load. And again, we are still, I think, in a time where sometimes, and not all communities, but a lot of communities and a lot of families alike think that they always have to keep people busy. They have to be task oriented. I'm not doing my job if they're relaxing and they're comfortable. Well, you know what? That's kind of a nice space that we all like to be in, and a person with dementia enjoys that too. So one of my favorite quotes is from a man by the name of Harry Urban, who's been living with dementia for a long time. And what he said to me one time when we were having a conversation, he's like, what people have to realize who are caring for us, if they're professional or family, is that I like to relax before I got dementia. I still do. So please let me, if I'm feeling the breeze, the sun on my face, hearing the birds tweet, if I'm engaged in a program, allow me that comfort and join me in it. Stop being busy. Join me in it. And I think COVID, again, has kind of taught people to force them to relax if they wanted to or not, and kind of find that space again, which I think is really brilliant. What are you finding with your memory care communities, Patty, in terms of SaltBox? And I know you did a lot of music and stuff with them as well. Is music something you're looking at bringing into the fold specifically, or was there a category for music on there that I missed?
There is a category for music and the arts, and we're just starting. And with COVID, music was an interesting singers. The instruments that were banned were any instruments that blew air. That included singers. So for the longest time, we weren't allowed to get people in the room. Now we're starting to, and we're working on a show called Stardust Unplugged, which we did a very small sort of first episode of it with Tim Panelli songs. That's going to be posted, and then we're going to be reaching out into expanding that show. But as SaltBox can do more in-house productions, we'll be bringing more shows with music specifically designed for older adults, all those great American songbook standards and everything. And it's just funny, you put music on and just human beings, not even just human, the atmosphere changes. It's just a wonderful thing.
And Patty's experience going into these memory care units with music is driving a lot of this, because I can't speak for her, but to hear her stories, and I always wish I could be in the room when this happens. So to take what she's done live for 25 years and changed the rooms when she goes to memory care units with the music is something that we only hope we can accomplish through SaltBox.
Like, for instance, last week, I went to a Brookdale, and it's a place that I've been going to for about 10 years. And, they are just starting to bring in live entertainment again. And I went in and I was supposed to do 2 programs for independent and assisted. And then the memory care unit, the woman she found out I was coming, and she was like, well, we get this too. So I did 3 shows. And I went in and they said, please just add this and just be here for 15 minutes. I was there an hour.
Well, it is so powerful to see the change in the room.
It's true. And, these were people, some of whom I had met in the past and had met a few years back through assisted living, and they're now, but there were really some wonderful connections there. And this was a group of people, great group of people, but they had not had live entertainment since this past March. And so it was an extra amazing day, because there were people singing that had not spoken in months. And, you put on Tony Bennett's Fly Me to the Moon, people sing.
Yep.
And so it was for me, I'm just starting to go back in live into communities. And it's a reminder of how much I love this audience and how much I've missed it. And, as I can go back in again, that will become a great big part of my calendar again.
Wonderful. Well, I'm thinking too, I used to, prior to this world I'm in now, I was in real estate. And then prior to that, I was in the group home industry and working with developmentally disabled, and music to them too. It just brought them up. That might be a whole nother audience for you to go after as well, because they would, I think, really appreciate what SaltBox TV has to offer as well. Well, I want to be conscious of your time here. So why don't we talk about what's the future for SaltBox TV? And Jerry, I'll throw that to you first.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, our backgrounds are creating new works with artists, with writers, with directors, with whomever it is that we need at that moment. And I think the future for us is to expand in that area. We will always cultivate and curate content that other people make. We want this to be a platform where people come to. Let's just take YouTube. Teepa Snow was a great example. Personally, my mom and dad never go on YouTube. They wouldn't even know how to search on YouTube. So they would never find Teepa Snow. They would, and so it's a bit of the Wild West. If you're going to make something, if you're an artist, if you're an educator, if you're an advocate, whatever it is your passion is, okay, I can make something with my Zoom. I can do this, but now how do people watch it? Right? So we want to be that place. We amalgamate, we collect, we curate content we think people will enjoy and be useful, from caregivers to people at home. And that includes entertainment. I know, because at the heart we cultivate in entertainment. So we will add to that, creating content made by these artists in Hollywood and New York that want to tell stories. And that could range from sitcoms to talent shows, to music shows, to game shows, to all kinds of things that you can let your imagination run wild. What would a network create? Well, we're going to find out at SaltBox, and all with the single vision of our audience at home, in communities. What do they want? Especially when you have these different ages in the adult senior population. Somebody who's 95 may or may not want something that somebody at 60 wants, or need, in this case, as far as information goes. But at the end of the day, everybody wants quality. You want something you can learn from, to be engaged by. And even if it's I Love Lucy, I just want to step back in time and forget about what life has handed me or my family or this world, and enjoy, Lucille Ball for a little bit. And then I'll step back in and maybe watch something else. But that's the goal, is to continue creating. And because we have this connection to the senior communities around the country, I'll brag a little bit. We're really attracting some of the players in the business, such as, you may know, In2L, who is a distributor of amazing content. We have a partnership with them. We're in 3,700 locations. And so we get feedback constantly from the adult community. And we incorporate that into our choices. And that will happen when we start creating stuff, when COVID has finally left our lives and we can do it safely, that we actually do listen, because we're not trying to be Netflix. We don't want to be. We want to be who we are. We want to be a place where people can go to find content, or recommend content, or say, I need to find information about this. Is there somebody out there that can do it? And then Patty's great at finding those personalities, or finding the people that are the writers. We're working on one particular sitcom now where it's all going to be done by women over 50. So it's the writers, directors, the camera people, everybody. And I'm going to be in the bar having a beer, because I am so not needed, right? Seriously. And there are people, just so many great people out there that want to do this. And that's our future, is to invite them to our world. And let's just see what happens next.
I am so grateful for the two of you for bringing this forward. I just think it's amazing. I think that people are really going to buy into this and want this. One of the simple things you did when you mentioned, and I just want to mention this again at the end, where, you don't have to buy, you don't have to give a credit card, you don't have to give any personal information. That is really, really important for people to feel safe and comfortable in this day and age. So, in order to get to SaltBox TV, it's really simple. They have a website, which is just saltboxtv.com. They're also on Facebook and Twitter at SaltBox TV. And then on Instagram, I believe it's saltbox.tv. Is that correct?
That's right. We're going to give you a scoop, Lori.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't announced this to the world yet, but that'll happen in the next week or two. Okay. We have a distribution deal in place with Amazon Fire Stick TV and Roku TV. There'll be others coming, but we are now officially on those channels. So if anybody has a Fire Stick on their TV, or they have Roku, those millions and millions of people that have that can now watch us on their TV for free.
Fantastic.
Download the app and start watching today, right now. Go.
Oh, very neat. Very neat. Well, thank you for sharing that with our audience. Appreciate that. And then there's also a trailer I'm going to put a link to as well on that talks about this. But I wish you nothing but the best. I think it's just a fantastic platform. I can't wait to watch and see this grow because I know it's going to be really well accepted around the world. So
thank you for having us, Lori. It's been wonderful. We wish you the best of luck. We love everything you're doing. We're big fans, and we can't wait to see how we can help you.
Sounds like a plan. I'm excited as well. So you guys have a wonderful week. For our listeners, please like, click, and share this. Don't keep SaltBox TV a secret. Everything we do here on Alzheimer's Speaks Radio is to be shared. That's how we make everybody's lives easier and better. So share away. And we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.